Not feeling good today. I got a headache today, so I'm drinking water instead of more coffee. Oh, I already had coffee. I'm just not going to have more. That's good. Well, hey folks, good morning. I'm Mr. Lauer. So the other day I was reading my copy of Wood magazine, and in the front there was a letter from the editor which was talking about young children making projects. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. That's what I do. I teach young children how to make projects. And it referenced this book, The Guide to Woodworking with Kids by Doug Stowe. And it preaches a form of education called slöyd, or something. It's a Scandinavian word, and it basically means handiness, working with your hands. And this tool right here, this is called a Sloyd knife. It's one of the first tools that one would use in the Sloyd method. What's cool about Sloyd is that it emphasizes making stuff with your hands from a really early age, like kindergartners, first graders. And yes, even using sharp tools like the Sloyd knife. But Sloyd isn't just about tools, it's more about making things. It's about learning how to manipulate objects and stuff with your hands. You get a feel for the material and the wood grain, but it's not just wood either. It's fabrics and metals and sewing and all sorts of hands-on craft type activities. It sort of espouses this philosophy that you learn by doing, by getting this sort of kinesthetic, hands-on activity with your materials, and that's honestly the best way to learn. It's the reason why play and recess and physical activity is so important to a child's education, is because that's how you're learning. It's not all about textbook work and learning theoretical stuff. It's getting in there and doing and experiencing the material. So I'm planning on using this book, and the projects in here are great. They're not fancy projects, but I kind of appreciate stuff like that. So we've got making superheroes. This is something that like a 7 or 8 year old would love to do, making little superhero dolls, and they look like a 7 or 8 year old made them. There's little cars and stuff. In these days, we look at things like a knife or a drill and we just kind of assume that kids aren't cut out for that it's too dangerous for kids. And yeah, if a child has never used a tool before and is unfamiliar with what it can and can't do, it would be dangerous. But the age appropriateness of something like a Sloyd knife is surprisingly young. Back when 80% of our population was rural, where boys and girls as young as 6 or 8 years old were helping out around the farm, they were helping out around the house, and kids that age were using pocket knives and saws and sharp things, and they learned how to do it without hurting themselves. When you're teaching the Sloyd model, you've got to go over the safety rules, you've got to supervise until the kids develop that natural sense of safety and appropriate use of tools. But once that happens, you can use that as a foundation to start building on more of these skills and adding more tools for them to work with. And I think that's really important to experience that. You can only learn so much by someone telling you about something. At some point, you've got to get out there and actually experience the tools and experience the materials and make some mistakes. So as parents and educators, it's our job to give children a venue that they can experience this stuff within a reasonable degree of safety. The balancing act comes where you want the kids to be able to make little mistakes so that they can figure things out and grow and improve, but you want them to avoid making the big mistakes, which means hurting themselves or others. But it is doable. There is precedent for this sort of stuff working, even with small kids. I've got a kindergartner and a first grader in the house there, and both of them have already used hammer, nails, and a wood burner too. So I'm thinking maybe this weekend or sometime we can crack this book open and maybe try a couple of the projects. So here's your assignment. What's the first tool or machine or piece of equipment or thing that you can remember learning in your life? It doesn't have to be woodworking related. Maybe you learned how to sew or bake at an early age. But what's the first thing you learned? Answer below in the comments and share with the rest of the world. Well, anyway, folks, that's going to do it for this episode. Don't forget to subscribe down below so you can keep learning how to do cool stuff. Until next time, I'm Mr. Lauer. Thanks for watching.